So our last event today is the Roundtable, the CBM School, chaired by Patricia Fernández de Lis, Editor-in-Chief of Science, Technology and Health at El País.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this roundtable. We're going to close this CBM anniversary. Happy birthday, by the way, to the CBM. And we are going to talk about the CBM School. First of all, I have to say that Cassandra Extavour from Harvard University, she's at the hotel. Thank you so much, Cassandra, because we know you are ill. So thank you very much for making the effort to be with us today, this afternoon. And I'm going to present the rest of the table. We have also Marisol Soengas from CNIO Spain, Francisco Sánchez Madrid from IIS La Princesa in Madrid too, Cassandra, as I said, from Harvard University, Federico Menéndez from CBM, and also Enrique Martín Gayo, also from CBM. So we are going to ask you, and Valentín, I am sorry because I'm Valentín, Riomoros. Yeah, I'm so sorry because it has been a little stressful this table. So, but Valentín is also.
It's fine, it's all right.
He's also with us. So we have 6 people today. I'm going to ask you to introduce a topic, just talking a minute or a couple of minutes about this, the CBM School. Please, Marisol.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for the invitation. And of course, congratulations for these 51st years of the CBM. So it's really a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here and see so many people that I know, and then the newest generations. And I think this is the great thing of a center that is alive and a center that is growing. So it's very great. So I can tell you about my story in 1 minute. So, and actually the CBM is quite important to me. I certainly would not be here if it was not for the opportunity of, getting my PhD with Margarita Salas, which you know, of course, I don't have a neat introduction here. So I heard, I was at A Coruña, at the university. I was in the 2nd degree of biology. And I've heard about this Centro Biología Molecular, and I thought, this is fantastic. I have to go there. And first I came to visit when I was in the 3rd grade. And then I transferred the paperwork, and then I started the molecular biology. And things happen. So through people from Galicia, this is how we are, the network. So I asked, so who is the best lab, really? And they told me several, and one was Margarita Salas, and there I went. And I'm not going to stand myself too much, but what I remember of that interview. So now, of course, you have, you Google people, you know what they're doing, you ask about the labs and everything. I just went to the library and I started reading. I didn't understand much. A bacteriophage, a virus that infects bacteria and has a protein in the end. Anyway, but for me, it was not important. The important point was that was a good group in a great place. I went to the interview. And so what I remember, Margarita, she asked me why. And it's the question that I ask now my students. So why do you want to do, and when you're coming here? And then I was a very shy person at the time, and I guess I started saying that I had very good degrees. Of course, I had like almost perfect grades, I have to say. And then I remember of that interview that she let me talk. And it was like she looked at me and then let me talk. And I guess it was all the time kind of guessing of trying to understand how was I beyond this person, young girl that I wanted to be to her lab. So this is my introduction to the Margarita, the schools of the people that have been over 150, I believe that we are. And then you find when you get to the lab that, of course, there was the best, the people with the highest grades of, many different universities, people from abroad. We spoke in English. So it was actually a great experience. And as I said, I would not be here if it were not for the opportunity of being in a lab that they really, really wanted to make a difference. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Marisol. Francisco?
So thank you very much for the invitation. So I attended my predoctoral thesis here at the CBM was a unique opportunity of a life to start a scientific career. So I graduated in biology in 76 in Sevilla. So there are some people recruiting students for the PhD here, particularly, specifically, the group of David Vázquez. So I came here for interview, and they offered to work with Juan Pedro García Ballesta, a professor, Juan Pedro García Ballesta. So I must confess that the topic of my thesis was not highly motivated for me. That was ribosomal protein. And most of the time, I spend my time in the cold room, okay, and running gel, okay? But I must also tell you that that was quite important because I was trained in the scientific method, okay, in the way to formulate questions unequivocally with control, many control, trying to get clear answer, and most importantly, to get solid and reproducible result. And I must say that this is the most important training I have. The second part of my thesis, I had to make antibodies against purified ribosomal protein. And then I had not been studying immunology, but the antibody for me were some enigmatic, some magic tools that I became very interested in immunology and the mechanism how the cells communicate each other. So I decided to do my career in immunology, to do the postdoc in immunology. And then I can go on, all the people were very generous with me. Juan Pedro was very generous because he gave me the freedom to do whatever I have in mind in the lab. This is very important. The lesson that I apply in my group. You know, the people had to be free during their research and do whatever they have in mind, but do it. Don't tell the other people, do it. This is the first question. The second is that I didn't know any word about immunology, was kind of topic, utopia. But I have very generous people like David Vázquez, Luis Carrasco, professor here from the CBM. David was one of the founders of the CBM. And they say, don't worry, you want to do a postdoc in immunology, you will apply to the best place. They give me a list of names, and they had a very good eye because 4 groups accepted me. And 3 of them, they got awardees, Nobel Prize, several years later. So they were really right. Okay? So that was my story in the CBM. That was a unique opportunity. I think I took the best, you know, the scientific method, the scientific way to do science. So I stop here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Cassandra, do you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, so whenever you want. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I was a PhD student at the CBM with Antonio García Bellido. I was one of his last students to graduate with a PhD because I arrived in his lab in the mid-90s towards the end of his active career. And I was very lucky to have had the chance to work with him in his lab. I had been an undergraduate student in molecular genetics at the University of Toronto, and I became interested in developmental genetics specifically. And I became familiar with the work of Antonio in a class that I took on model organism genetics. And we studied C. elegans, budding yeast, Drosophila melanogaster, and mice. And it was clear to me that Drosophila genetics was the way to go. And I was told by one of my professors that he had a friend who was studying Arabidopsis genetics in Madrid, and maybe I should write to him to ask him about genetics in Spain because I had it in my mind I wanted to go to another country and live in a different language. And I wrote to this person, and he said, Drosophila genetics is extremely strong in Madrid, and you should go to the CBM. And so I wrote to Antonio García Bellido, Ginés Morata, and Joan Moroder. And Ginés didn't answer me. My letter got lost somehow in the mail to him. Joan very kindly responded and said he did not have space in his lab. And his lab, when I arrived, I could see it was absolutely full. And Antonio wrote back to me and he said, maybe, let me see your transcripts and let me see some letters of recommendation from specific people he named at the University of Toronto that he wanted to hear their opinion of me. And after he received those things, he said, you can come to my lab, but I have no money for foreign students. So I looked around and I found a small scholarship that was enough to get me to Spain. And I got there, and within a couple of weeks, it was clear to me that I wanted to stay and do my PhD in genetics with Antonio. And so that's the story of how I came to the CBM, and I have no regrets at all. It was extremely transformative in my scientific career.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Federico?
Thank you. So, I mean, in addition, I've been here for, Angela said yesterday that she was here like 44 years ago, 46 for me. So it's alive. So I did here my PhD at the lab of with Fernando Valdivieso. Then I went to the States with Bob Lefkowitz for a while, and then I came back, and I have been here through all the different steps of the career. And if the question that Patricia posed us is that what we think that it makes unique the CBM school, I think that probably the CBM is very proud. I mean, in addition to scientific contributions, the thing we are most proud of is the excellent group of leaders in science, in academy, and in other professions that the CBM has produced. And I think that probably from the very beginning, the CBM was kind of revolutionary at the times in Spain because it was a mixture. It was a melting pot from the beginning, from people from the university, full-time professors with teaching duties, and also people from the CBM, from the National Research Council, from many different disciplines in molecular biology, in the emerging molecular biology then. So I think this was really unique, along with scientific services in-house, with excellent technicians and excellent technical personnel as well. So I think that this has created, during the times, a very nice collaborative environment. And you can see here all these products of the CBM we are proud, very, very proud of. And I think that's been very important also because teaching, the part of the CBM that are part of the university, and also with teaching contributions from members of the National Research Council, has give us access to very talented students from undergraduate programs, from master's programs, for the PhD program in molecular bioscience at university. And I think this has been very important both for the CBM and also for the university, because only universities that do research deserve to be called universities. And that's what we keep trying to do, to keep this environment, also with new initiatives. So was that of the train at CBM that we can maybe talk a little bit later on about. But I think that's what makes the CBM school unique.
Thank you so much. As for the younger generations, Valentín?
I think that's me. I'm doing my PhD now, so that's it. Yes, I want to firstly thank the CBM for the opportunity, and also the pre-doc and postdoc committee to letting me be here, talking about being a PhD here now. And to be close to the point now, I think the thing that makes the CBM unique, and why I think this place is special, is because the interdisciplinary groups that are here, there's a lot of people working in a lot of things, and I think that's great. You can learn a lot about different topics. And also, I have to agree with Federico, the technical and the scientific services here, the people is very prepared here in the services. They are always trying to help. They are always there when you need them. And I think that's good for me as a student, that I don't really have to learn everything. I just have to ask, and there's someone that can help me.
Thank you so much. This.
Thank you. Well, I think that, as a former student of the Universidad Autónoma, to me, the first contact that I had with the CBM was precisely to be aware that some of my teachers were actually top researchers in different disciplines. And later on, thanks to the immunology subject, actually led by Francisco Sánchez Madrid and Maria Luisa Toribio, I was able to start with Marisa my PhD. So I think that to me, one of the most important things that has already been mentioned is, the ability to learn good science here, to question your science and to learn from other people who not necessarily are working in the same field or in your specialty. Plus, how different groups here challenge young people to go to meetings, to defend their data, to collaborate, to basically provide the tools for success and to continue with a postdoctoral career abroad, right? So basically, I think that it is very relevant that the CBM continues with that legacy and that we actually have formed a family, as Federico said, within and outside the immunology. And we have, I myself, for example, I've been working for several years now at Hospital La Princesa, which is very tied also to CBM. And we have formed a network of researchers that I think it's very important for the future of science in Spain.
So thank you very much. Thank you for all these first insights. You have mentioned some mentors, some very, very important names in the science community in Spain. I would like to ask you about this, about mentorship. How important is that mentorship, both formal and informal, in shaping a successful career? You can just talk now, not in order, whatever you want, okay? So Marisol.
Okay. So, well, mentorship is essential. I think we can all know that a good mentor can help a person, can stimulate somebody that is eager to work, and a bad mentor can really crush a person. So really quite important. So coming back to what my experience was in Margarita's lab, so it was amazing. If you think back, I mean, that was a big group at the time. So we were probably, I don't know, more than 15, and from different places, international people. But he always made a point of having kind of a structure where nobody was left behind, in the point that so the students were supervised by seniors, and the seniors and the ones that he was, coordinating with. And that was quite important because so we felt, supervised, but also, and you mentioned this point, the freedom, that was very important. So in Margarita were two kind of points that she would make. First is like, for sure, she was the rigor, quantification and quantifying and re-quantifying, and that until we were absolutely sure the experiment was not done. So this is one point. Then the point of freedom to, to do the experiments, but also because we were working in a bacteriophage. You were talking about, maybe your topic was not interesting. Imagine a virus that infects bacteria. So we had to learn, and I think the seniors in the lab were very important. And I have here Luis Blanco and Crisanto Gutierrez. Don't say Crisanto, but so they were Crisanto was my direct thesis advisor. So we were, actually we learned how to best present the data. So of course the data has to be there and it's quite important, but it's also how you communicate, how you transmit that.
Mhm.
I learned that much more for sure in the US, that much more important, but that was also in the lab.
Mhm.
And that goes to this concept of, well, so science is important, but we have to make it relevant. Then now, mentoring after that. So I'm very active in different initiatives in the Spanish Association for Cancer Research, ASECA. I was the head of I actually started the Women in Science chapter, and then ASECA Joven, different actions, because we need mentors, and we need mentors, and not only mentors, we need sponsors sometimes. Women more than men, but I think we all need. And a sponsor is a bit different from mentor. Mentor is a person that you can talk about science and things, but a sponsor is somebody, when you go a little bit ahead in your career, somebody that will introduce you actively to people, that will make sure that if it is a congress, that you might be invited, that you might be asked to be a chair. And this is opening the doors. Of course, when I said this and mentoring sponsorship, of course, the doors might be open, then you have to pass and you have to stay. And that's our own responsibility. But having people that support is very important. And this is the concept of having also good role models.
Mhm.
And I think at the CBM, so I definitely had the luxury of having a person as a role model that for her, science was the important point. I never felt in my life when I was a student that I could not be a PI because I was a woman. It was never an issue that she would treat equally, I would say, with the same expectations, men and women. So in summary, so in terms of mentorship, quite important. The ones that can, please also be sponsors for the people that you believe in. And also to encourage and to encourage groups of people that might be underrepresented. I think that's quite, I would say.
Yeah. Any more insight? Yeah, Valentín?
So there's something interesting you said about the freedom and the importance of mentorship. I also think that's important for a mentor or a PI, because when you are young, because you don't know anything about the topic, you just finish your degree and you really don't know what to do, how you do research, how science works. That's something that you discover through the years of your thesis. And I also think that's maybe for me, you want to do a lot of things. You are eager to do a lot of things, to do a lot of experiments, you are just all over the place. And I think it's also important to have someone to say, hey, stop, let's wait a little bit, right? So there's the importance of an organized freedom in academia. Yeah.
Do you agree? The rest of the table? Yeah, Federico?
I also think, that a certain level of craziness is always really good on this, like sometimes I still remember one experiment that I did on my PhD with Marisa, and I was like, I want to try this with double positive thymocytes, and she was like, everything is going to die, you're not going to get anything out of this. And then later on, we actually got very interesting data that we developed onto an article, right? So to foster somehow spontaneity and no expectations in science, I think that's something that is so rich, and the PhD students really can really exploit that. Sometimes we are so focused on what has been established that we lose vision in a way. So, but of course, I agree that you have to control, the progression.
Francisco.
Yeah, well, I would like to talk about another facet of mentorship. I think that I have very good mentors here. This is what I remember. No? Juan Pedro, they gave me the freedom, okay? Essentially freedom to do whatever I want. I have very good mentor in the lab. I have Ricardo Amil, that is there, okay? Purifying ribosomal protein in a different way that the other people purify from the gel. Okay? I have also Manuel Fren. I learn a lot, and I share seat with him for 1 year, okay, the same seat. The way that he was sit, I can be it, and he just say, okay, you can sit, okay. Anyway, I think that this is very important. And then I have other type of mentorship. The mentorship from David Vázquez, and Luis Carrasco. As soon as I decide to go my postdoc in immunology, they say, okay, we will help you. We'll help you to find the best people. I remember I have not studied English. So when I went to the States, I have a rudimentary English skill. So they wrote the letter of the acceptance, everything. So, and they gave me the list. This is the people that you should write in immunology. And then I decide, many people, 6, 7 people, group accept me. So I decide, okay? And then they help me a lot. This is the kind of mentorship. And the other mentorship, I think that the CBM is very smart on that, is that the people that have been trained here, we have to pay the tribute to the CBM. I pay my tribute to the CBM. Okay, there are like 6, 7 people. For example, I see the face of 3 researchers that call Maria that are here. Okay, Maria Mitterbrook, Maria Navarro, Maria Yañez. There are many others. So there, I pay Miguel Campanero also. Okay, all of them have been postdoc or graduate student that is here. So, and this is a kind of very enrichment of mentorship, you know, it's because I'm telling you that this is a 2-way street. This is bidirectional, okay? And everybody become enriched in that way. Not only the people that we were training here, but we return our tribute to the CBM, okay?
Cassandra, I don't know if you have something you would like to say. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with the things that the colleagues have expressed here so far. I think mentorship is absolutely essential. And I think one thing that can be useful to keep in mind, especially for young people now, is that mentorship, certainly since I was a student now compared to then, there are many, many formal mentorship schemes through societies in a graduate program at an institution, even up to the level of faculty. They will have formal mentorship programs. One may be assigned a formal mentor and so on. And those things can be very useful. At the same time, it's helpful to remember, as at any career stage, a mentor is someone who can help you with something. If you define it broadly that way, then you can have a broad spectrum of mentors who can help you with many different things, and they may come from very different places in your professional life. When I was a graduate student, I was coming to Antonio's lab close to the end of his career. He was not in the lab very much. So the sort of day-to-day mentoring that his first generation of students would have received, naturally, that was not my experience. I had a different experience. I had the experience of a mentor who was physically only there a couple of times a week, but he had an incredibly broad perspective, an incredibly deep perspective of the field as he had seen it evolve over decades that when he first started his lab, he could not have had. So as a mentee at any stage, it really helps you to see what is it that I can get from my PI or my postdoc or the PI down the hall, and what is not realistic for me to expect from this person. If your PI is a very senior person who is not going to design details of your experiment for you, then look to another person to get those things. And at the time I was in the lab, there was an incredibly strong tradition of senior students mentoring junior students. And I learned 90% of day-to-day fly genetics from my colleagues who were in the lab, some of whom are still there, Antonio Baunza, Pedro Martínez, Paco Cifuentes, and Luis Alberto, who came, just around the same time as me. And we learned and taught each other those day-to-day things. And then Antonio, when he appeared, would give us this very deep and broad perspective. So mentorship is to be found in many different places. And it enriches all of us to look for and take advantage of different forms of mentorship in different places.
Federico also wanted to.
Yeah, very briefly. I mean, I agree with all comments. And in fact, we are also trying now at the CBM to implement the CBM Ment program, which is called specifically for mentoring. And I just want to add that especially when I become old, we tend to say to the young people what we think that must be done. But I think in this process, we should also listen. Make an effort to listen to the young people, young PIs, what are their problems, and with our experience, with our perspective, how we can help.
So let me take
just
it from here. I'm sorry, Marisol. Let's hear the young scientists. What are the problems and the challenges? And after that, you can also intervene. But for example, Valentín.
So for me, when I was talking about this and thinking with my peers, what are the challenges that we face now? I think there are mainly two now. One is how to stay in academia and don't die in the trying to, and the other one, because industries are really strong now, I think it seems that there's so little places in academia that you must live. And the other problem is that you have to go overseas abroad if you want to have a career in science in Spain. It seems that you have to put your personal life at stake. You have to, in a moment, to decide if you want to be here with your family, with your friends, with the people you've met for a lot of years, or you want to jump abroad and go and do science in other country, and then, if you are lucky, come back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Enrique.
Yeah, I think that, to me, there's two main things. First of all, as you mentioned, to keep motivation for academic science, passion for science, and convince or help the students to really fall in love with the science that they're doing and not think about this is just a regular job or just, I have to do a timetable to obtain an academic title, to really be able to transfer that passion. I think that's the challenge for us, which we have received from the previous generation. I think it's our responsibility. And also to pay back the generosity that we have received. Starting your own group in academia is very hard, especially when you come from abroad, from a level of funding that is higher than in Spain. Space is limited, and myself, I have been very fortunate to benefit from generosity from Paco, Marisa, and others. But I think that we have to give back. And that's going to be also part of the challenge of really building networks and allowing people to grow on their own and to really continue this story.
Anyone else, Marisol?
Yes, so I want to follow up in this building the networks. The networks are super important, whether it's in academia or in any other discipline, right? And so and Cassandra mentioned that there are different types of mentoring, one-on-one that we were talking about here. Then the one that we found in the Spanish Association for Cancer Research in ASECA, very useful, is this peer mentoring. So this is particularly for people that studying their labs to be in context with other people that are in the same situation, because sometimes you need people to go read your grants and train and practice your presentations, and maybe the big PIs might be too busy, but people in your kind of same level can help. But then there is other level, which is taking advantage of invite people that you invite, or actually create strategies in congresses or in associations for meet the expert. So in ASECA, we have this meet the expert, which is an opportunity for, we have lists of people with different expertise, and then our members kind of select them. And then they select, and then we have a kind of meeting, and that then helps. And then in addition to that, we have ASECA Internacional, the international group. Because of course, there are a lot of people here that they might want to go abroad, people that want to come back. And actually, the coming back is definitely not easy. We all know, we can talk about this. But having people that can kind of guide you in the system is quite important. So I would say take advantage of, I'm talking about ASECA, but there are other associations. And maybe here you can also set, I know that you have this training program in place, but is also taking advantage of these networks of people to cover. The alumni is quite, it's the source of them.
any advice or insight about what Valentín said, the challenges, and Enrique, the challenges for the young people?
Well, I must add, I completely agree regarding Valentín comments. These are mostly a career challenge.
Yeah.
Which career follow and all the difficulties either in academia or in industry or whatever. I think that there are also other kind of challenge that has to do more probably with the roundtable of yesterday, which are the challenges that molecular biology faces and how new generations of scientists are prepared for that.
Yeah.
And I think that yesterday was very interesting roundtable because I think we face now an era with a lot of technology, we have the ability of generating increasingly high amount of data. But now I think that one of the challenges for the new generations also is how to navigate with all this huge amount of data and not being completely overwhelmed for the data they generate.
Yeah.
And remember Albert Einstein saying that information is not knowledge necessarily. So I think, and I have my feeling myself, and also with some of students and also graduate students, probably we have to think in reinforcing training in bioinformatics, training in big data management. Also, it was mentioning integrative complexity, ranging from single molecule to physiology, as we nicely say this afternoon. So we have maybe to expand a little bit more from the very beginning, from the graduate, undergraduate, master's, PhD school, to try to think of training as better as we can in this with this new perspective.
Cassandra?
Yes, I wanted to give my thoughts on the things that Valentín was talking about. Those are, important challenges, and I see the students and trainees that I know in the United States and around the world being concerned with these same, main issues. One, can you actually maintain a career in academia without, killing yourself in the process? And two, do you have to uproot your life in order to do this? I think that's what you were talking about, right, Valentín?
Yep.
Yeah. And so, and I think on the one hand, my perspective on this is that academia, these professional academic careers, like a few of us have, are extremely low demand professions, right? Most societies don't, if the apocalypse comes tomorrow and we don't get replaced, society will rebuild itself fine without us, right? Society actually needs people who know how to grow food and build shelter and fix sick people. I don't know how to do any of those things. Right. Having said that, I don't think that our profession is without value. I think it is extremely important. Once a society gets to a certain level of socioeconomic survival, it can afford people like us to then further enhance the quality of life, which is fantastic. However, it is a very low demand profession. A society doesn't need a lot of us. And more people have the possibility of being trained to have the knowledge that could enable them to occupy these positions, but the number of these positions is not growing, and it's not going to grow. So it's more competitive now than it was when we all applied for our jobs. I feel very confident that if we all applied for the jobs we have now, today, none of us would get those jobs. The CVs of the current applicants are light years beyond what our CVs were when we were at that career stage, because the market is much more competitive now than it was then. And I think, not to be a downer, that's just a fact. And so it is, on the other hand, what has also grown in visibility and accessibility are the number of extremely well-regarded, well-compensated, lots of paths for development careers that require or value advanced training, like a PhD in biomedical sciences and whatever you like, and are looking for people with your training that are not academic professions. Industry is one. Yesterday, we were talking about, should scientists become politicians, or do politicians need science education? One of my best friends who trained in Wnt signaling in Drosophila was a senior scientific advisor to senior council members and the presidents of the United States over the last several decades. And they valued his expertise in basic science to help them make science policy decisions. So there are so many more careers besides academia that will require and value PhD level training in the sort of science that you're doing. And that's an exciting new opportunity that didn't exist decades ago that your generation can take advantage of too.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. I would like to ask you just one more question, and I will leave it to the floor. If you have, if you will look ahead in like 25 or 20 years, where do you see, or how would you like to see this CBM school? What is needed to expand it, or what is needed to make it better, maybe? What do you think of this? Anyone? Enrique, for example, I think.
Okay. Well, I think that, that somehow it has to do with some of the items that have been mentioned. I think that we have to switch the way in which we generate science, because precisely there's so much data that has been generated that is out there. We will probably have to evolve into a way to share the data and work more efficiently as groups, as networks. So I think that could be a key of success, as well as continuing with the legacy of really being bold in science, taking risk and really go there and try to answer a few questions.
I would love to see the CBM that continues with this interdisciplinary motto. I think I want to say it, that it defends and protects that we do different things in the CBM. I would love to see 10 years from now that we are here and there's people doing virus, there's people in immunology, there are organoids, there are a lot of people working in different things. I would love to the CBM to maintain that.
Marisol?
Okay. So, I mean, the beauty of science, I would think, is that we really don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in 10 years. I wish, I mean, I could, have a ball and just see what's happening. And I think we have to be ready for that. So imagine what happened 10 years back. So we could not imagine so many things happening. Even we talked yesterday, artificial intelligence and so on. So, I mean, I hope that, we are able to use these technologies in a good way, to, help. And so Cassandra was saying that molecular biologists maybe are not that important. I'm not sure. I would say that nowadays, if the population is going to get older, it's going to be cancer, it's going to be cardiovascular disease. If we disappeared, that we would not be progress. So this, I think, is something that we have to believe ourselves, that how important we are now and how important we're going to be in the future. So of course, we have to be able to integrate and to adapt, I would say, and to work in teams. But also, I would hope that the new students, they don't lose this passion that we had to learn, right? Because sometimes there's the need for immediate results, the need for immediate recognition. And that, I hope that somehow we can hope, and I would just wish that in 10 years from now and say, oh, I'm proud of being part of the CBM, and I'm proud of having, contributing this or whatever.
Well, this is a difficult question, okay, but we can speculate. Okay, so I think that I'm not worried about that. I think that CBM people are very smart. You see the face of the people. They're really smart. They will find one way or other to survive, and to survive well, because this is what they are doing from the beginning. Okay? And they are recruiting very good people. This is the truth. They have the university here, a very good university, very good biology, very good biochemistry, very good medicine. So they have the best people to be trained. And they only have to select the best and train and do and allow to do to be themselves. And that's it. And they will survive well, for sure.
Thank you very much, Fabio. You're always so optimistic. I mean, I agree, and I think that we should keep also trying things that have worked. So keep a good balance between university and National Research Council to keep good scientific services and technicians, to keep a dynamic and interactive pre and postdoc community that we are also trying to improve. And as I said before, of course, one cannot plan for the unexpected, but one can maybe prepare for the unexpected, for new things to come, and then also trying to keep this training with the new technologies, but also remembering that the key thing is to ask the right questions. And as always say to my students, in the undergraduate students, is a sentence by Sidney Brenner that I heard him once. It's low input, high throughput, no output science. So the input and the hypothesis and thinking around the right questions is still very important for the new generations to come.
Cassandra, I don't know if you have any vision for this.
Yeah, I think the CBM should keep training people in the excellent way that it has always done, and to continue to broaden. It has already been doing this. Keep broadening the different avenues of society that it is in contact with and that it sends its trainees into. There's no way in which I am saying that molecular biology is not important. What I'm saying is that many trainees have the singular goal as a career goal of occupying the position of their PI or of having a position that is like that. And that specific type of position is one of many different types of positions in academia. That specific type of position is low in number. However, the many, many different people needed to support research in molecular biology and in other fields of scholarship is enormous. And PhD and postdoctoral level trainees should broaden their horizons in terms of the number of different fulfilling careers that they aspire to, because they can do not only our jobs, they can do many, many other types of jobs as well.
Okay, so we would like to open the floor to questions. Please introduce yourself, questions or remarks, I know, or comments. I know you like to do remarks also. Please introduce yourself and let us know what your question or remark are. Anyone? If not, I have more questions, but yes, Maria. Yeah, do we have, tenemos un micro por ahí? Oh, just 1 minute, because if not, Cassandra won't hear us.
I guess this is mostly for Valentín.
Thank you.
So what I've learned, from my mentor here on the table is that for science, generosity is a must. You really depend on many people around, and then resilience is also something to train. But then you have to get fun of what you do. Okay, so it's always a difficult career, I would say, but it pays back. So if as long as it is fun for you, then you will find your way. So yeah, so those three are, I think, the very important aspects for having a successful scientific career, at least in a personal way.
Do you have something to?
I mean, the CBM is fun sometimes. So I guess we have that. Yes, of course. I think that's so I totally agree with you. You have to have fun. You really have to like what you are doing. Because there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of sacrifices, and you have to play with that. It's funny. Yeah.
Anyone else? Over there? Right.
Oops, sorry.
Thank you for your insights, quite inspiring. I would like to ask whether institutions, in my opinion at least, they have an inertia and they have a personality, and I see that in the university, I see that in the research council, I see that in the CBM, in the CNIO, that each of us have a different personality as institutions. And if I heard you correctly, your advice is to keep on going with the successful things that we've been doing for the past 50 years. However, my question goes to how can we maintain that? Just by doing what we've been doing might be enough, but in my opinion, we need to do extra things because the world keeps on going. How could we guarantee that we are going to keep our personality, our multidisciplinarity, our instruction of trainees? What is your advice as to how to keep on going the same way and keep our personality as an institution?
Very interesting question. Thank you. Anyone? So, Marisol?
Well,
And then-
I'm not in this institution, but I would say that clearly things will have to change. We cannot keep doing the science the way we do. And even though we don't know what's going to happen in 5 years, but for sure it's going to be much more collaborative. We're going to see probably PhDs or postdocs be co-mentored or co-supervised by PIs in different places, in different institutions. We have to aim for large collaborative grants. So whether it's in the EU or and these collaborative grants, I think that's going to be the way we can keep being competitive. So if we keep inside, I think it will be very difficult to be successful. This will be my opinion. And so in that will be to incorporate and be ready to incorporate new techniques. And I think for that, we talked about that yesterday. Funding is very important. We need to keep pushing for funding, but that's not enough. And that will be, so change a little bit the organization of bureaucracy to be able to attract and to retain talent. It's so hard to hire even big PIs from abroad, right? Not only because of the salary as well. So I think if we want to keep competitive, we have to open up and we have to be smart in how we use the resources, I think.
Enrique?
Yeah. Adding on that, I think that as we mentioned, precisely because how expensive it is to do like cutting edge science and new techniques, I think it's very important again to stress the importance of the collaboration within and outside to actually take advantage of our international network, also national and local collaborators, and really be generous again also in the data. Because one of the strengths of this place is precisely how diverse is the different disciplines that are actually studied in here. So you are maybe focused on T cells and you don't realize, that there's certain, as it was mentioned earlier, the communication with the neural system and things like that. This is something that you can actually get new ideas here. So I think being aware of that is one of the keys of the success of this institution.
Yes, yes.
If I may add very quickly, I agree. I mean, I think that in order to keep this balance, in order to keep this multidisciplinarity and collaborative networks, I completely agree with you in this regard. For instance, I think that we are doing that now, but we should reinforce our connections, for instance, with health research institute in the hospitals, as the one that Paco and you have been there. And also, regarding the point raised by Marisol, I think that both University and Research Council needs more flexible and quick and efficient mechanisms for recruiting people, particularly people from abroad. We don't have this mechanism. You have that, or you had at CNIO, and then we need that. I mean, normally we are not able to hire in more. There is a lot of bureaucracy and administrative issues. We don't have, for instance, starting packages for young people to attract them to our institutions. We need to improve that. It's very difficult. Cristina knows because now he's with the rectoral team of our university, but we think we should try.
I think there was another question on the floor. Is that possible? No? No? Okay, so we'll leave it here. Thank you very much for all the panelists to be here, especially thank you so much for being. I hope that you get better, Cassandra, and I hope you can enjoy Madrid a little bit, maybe because the weather is good. So thanks, everyone. Just to do a little recap, you have talked about how revolutionary from the beginning, 50 years old, was CBM as being a melting pot, as being also you had great mentors that let you think, more, make questions, collaborate. The role of university and the technical people is very important here. And of course, passion. And as Federico said, you have to be prepared to the unexpected in the next few years. So see you in 50 years here, hopefully. Surely Valentín will be here.
It's going to be an apocalypse, so it's very fun.
The rest of us depends on how good you are at your work. So thank you very much. I think Nuno has to say something.
Okay, so thank you very much. It's been 2 very interesting days with a luxury of panelists, top notch, 3 Nobel Prizes. We were talking during coffee. Perhaps we have more Nobel Prizes. The Nobel Prizes are next week, so maybe there's even more Nobel Prizes among us. So thank you to the organizers, thank you to the public, and for the next 50 years, maybe let's hope for at least 1 more Nobel Science Prize in Spain, no? I think that will be a nice goal. So thank you again, and goodbye.
Thank you.